Thank you so much, Erik, for being here. I love you, and I've always, always appreciated your support. Thank you. Yes, so thank you, Lovely, for this session. Now, Lovely, could you call in Krishna for us?
Okay, let's see. I don't know if this is because of the way he has been portrayed, but the picture that I'm receiving now is that he was a chariot rider.
Charioteer.
Yeah, charioteer, yeah. So he's actually not riding a chariot, but there are a lot of horses.
Wow.
So there has to be something, some significance to that, which I will be asking. And he's sort of looking the other way. I mean, he's not like looking at me. I'm seeing this like a huge vast land, and he's almost in he's traveling or something of that sort. I'm asking, is this because of the pictures that I've seen growing up in my books, or why he's coming forth? Because I need to know that. He's saying that's a picture everybody loves about me. That's one of the pictures everybody loves about me. So that's why he's chosen that.
That's one of the pictures I metal embossed. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So yes, that could be one reason. Because I was wondering, he could have come with the flute, you know, standing with Radha.
He could have come with his flute.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many pictures.
Exactly. So many fond images of him. So I presume he wants to talk about the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, because it was, when he was on his chariot that he gave the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, right in the middle of the battlefield at Kurukshetra. We'll come to that in a little while. But in the meantime,
he's saying, I'm here to clarify all the misconceptions on Gita, he says.
He knows that I've been of Gita, me, or about the Gita?
The book, the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Krishna, by the way, you know me because I love you. You know that. Okay. So, in the meantime, Krishna, Lovely and I, from one of our previous interviews with God, we came to know that Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva are two different entities, fractions of source. So Lord Vishnu is a fraction of source. Hindus believe, or some Hindus believe, that you are an avatar of Lord Vishnu. So why that misconception? Of course, these Hindus believe that Vishnu is, this is the name they give to source. But we know that Vishnu is a fraction. So are you an avatar of source, a fraction of source yourself, or are you Vishnu himself?
He's actually using, when you were talking about that, he was saying something which I would try to exactly put in here. I am as much the fraction of the source as much I am the brother to Vishnu. And he uses the term the brother. So I was asking him why brother, why that, you know, with Vishnu. He's almost speaking like when you are born from the same mother, and our mother was the reason why we came in, you know, almost like they had the same purpose.
Yeah.
And, you know, almost like these two were meant to do similar sort of things for souls.
Okay. Yeah.
Their teachings, or
we all
that's why he's using the term brother.
Okay. So Vishnu is real. So we'll probably interview Vishnu sometime. Brahma is a real entity too, a fraction of God, one of your brothers.
It's almost like he's making me feel like there were a lot of energies who created
So he's
parts of
crystallization of human thought forms, perhaps.
Yes, yes. I'm not getting an exact thing like there was an entity named Brahma, though, but it's easy to understand, a person doing some magic for the human perspective and creating stuff. So that's how that story came.
This is what we got the last time too, but I just wanted to doubly clarify, So thank you so much, Krishna. Right. But you would want to know that Vaishnavites, people who believe in Vishnu, they believe that you are the 9th avatar of Vishnu himself. Of course, according to them, Vishnu is source or God. This is just for your knowledge, Krishna. I'm sure you know, but I'm just letting you know again. Did Vishnu ever incarnate on earth?
Yes, we both did, is what I'm getting. Krishna has also taken birth as a human, and even Vishnu has.
Okay.
And this is weird because Vishnu as Vishnu is his. That's what he's saying. When he was he a human being? Have we discussed on this?
No, we have not discussed. No.
Okay, because he's not making me feel something like an angelic being. He was this real person.
Vishnu was a real person. That's what Source gave us to understand that. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that's what he's making me feel. Like the term Vishnu, when it was given to Vishnu, he was in his human form.
All right.
Initially.
Okay. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, though, Krishna speaks, the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is in the first person, as if God is speaking to people, the humans. It's always, everyone will come to me. I take birth, my avatars reincarnate yuga after yuga, time after time, whenever adharma dominates over dharma. So he always he talks of himself as source. Is that a human thing, making Krishna appear as source in the Bhagavad Gita?
What I'm getting is that much of what was written in Gita was like what we are doing now. It was channeled information.
Yes, channeled information.
From the source.
Okay.
But just like how, even I will have a certain kind of filter. So, part of the truth got misinterpreted when it crossed the filter of the person who channeled it.
Was it Krishna who gave the Gita? Meaning, probably, this is just, my doubt, probably Krishna served as a trans-channel for source, and hence, the use of I in the Gita. Was it Krishna who gave the Gita in the first place?
No, I'm not getting I'm getting a no for that. It's almost like a sage did it, and it was like partly trans-channeled, partly it was this is very interesting because it was partly the information came in the way of dreams.
Dreams, okay.
Dreams, when you get these things and you get up in the morning and you just make a note of it.
Yes.
So they are showing me a sage doing that, maybe in meditative state.
Did the sage have a name? Does he have a name? So it was not Krishna.
No, it's not what I'm getting. There has to be an entity who did that, and what I'm feeling, it's a human being
Okay.
who has put it into writing, and Krishna says we just did role play. Like there were these, I mean, just like how they're wanting me to explain, like I can channel angels, I can channel spirit guides, and when I combine all the information and put it into a book, it was sort of that. So there were all these gods, and there were also various other entities which couldn't be named, and some of it didn't make sense, so they were not part of Gita, but they are being mentioned in other books.
Oh, okay. So
Other
it was a group of entities, humans and some deities involved in channeling the Gita from source.
No, the channeling was done by one person.
Okay.
They just played the role of coming in and giving information.
Oh, okay. So it was passed on by different people.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm getting.
Okay, so was Krishna one of those who passed the information on to Arjuna right in the middle of the battlefield at Kurukshetra?
I don't know, because they are they're not making me feel like Mahabharata was something that actually held.
Oh,
it is almost like if you could think of a story with all the morals in it, it was partly based on Erik is chiming in, he's saying it was creative writing, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right. Yeah, creative writing.
That's the term that he's giving me. If you have to preach and you have to put all those morals, like how we do for children, we turn it into a story. Fables.
Yeah. Yes. I totally get it, because a lot of it is inconceivable, humanly not possible. For instance, the Kauravas, they were 100 Kauravas. 100 of them all split from a blob, a soul, perhaps. So that's humanly not possible. So we know that. We just buy into the stuff because of the morals it conveys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is Erik saying it's exactly how we put it for children. Like we add a hint of a fairy tale and some magic and some powers.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting and
So the Mahabharata did not take place. So there was no battle at Kurukshetra wherein Krishna was a charioteer to Arjuna. Was there? Is Arjuna real?
I'm almost getting a feeling like Kurukshetra was a place which existed, but there was no battle or a war as such. And they are also letting me know, sort of like the person who channeled this information, or the entity who wrote this, Kurukshetra was his birthplace or something. So there was a very deep resonance with that area.
Yeah, it's somewhere near Amritsar, I have read. And I've also read that researchers have found weapons, pieces of weapons.
Okay.
Long
so maybe it was a place that existed.
They're trying to prove that the war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas did happen. They're trying to prove it, and they would even date it based on the iron weapons that were found there. They're trying to put a date on the war. So, Krishna, could you please clarify that there was no war as such?
There were some weaponry, but he's almost making me feel like it was meant for survival, like maybe hunting or of that sort. But I am not getting feeling, and for protection also, he says it could be from wild animals or something, but he's not making me feel like there was a war or battle.
Okay, all right. So, the usual idea is that Krishna was a charioteer to Arjun. And so on the chariot, he kind of stopped the chariot right in the middle of the battlefield and asked Arjuna to see through his cousins, the Kauravas, and realize that he's not going to kill their souls. This is when he gives the verse, the soul is eternal. It can never, never perish. It cannot be destroyed by a weapon, cannot get wet by water, cannot be ruined by wind, storm, fire, etc., etc. So there are those famous two lines. And so the idea is he stopped in the middle of the war and gave the Gita to Arjuna. So all that is just, people's imagination now. Okay, so, and also there's another interesting thing there, and Arjuna couldn't believe that Krishna was divine because he was his close friend. Krishna was Arjuna's close friend. So there was no, just wanted to confirm, so there was no Arjuna, and then there is also this interesting legend that Arjuna wanted to see his true form, Krishna's true form. So he demonstrated his Vishvarupam to Arjuna. So he appeared as a huge image of Vishnu to Arjuna. So these are all just elements of people's imagination, I suppose.
He's making me feel like even the characters. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly if he's talking about Arjuna, mm-hmm. but the characters or the people in Gita or Mahabharata,
yeah,
some of them were real. I mean, they were the sage who wrote that, he had seen them in dreams or otherwise, but not all of them. But it was in fractions. And also this whole thing of the soul not dying, and that whole concept was one day experienced by the guy who channeled.
Hindus believe that when souls sorry about that. I'm just trying to go back to who wrote the Mahabharata, which sage. I'm trying to check who wrote Mahabharata. I'm trying to get the sage's name. It was Vyasa Rishi, Vyasa. So Vyasa, Rishi Vyasa. So Krishna, so Vyasa is real?
Yes, he is. And he was actually talking about the experience that he had. It was a personal experience that he was killed by a wild animal in the jungle. And he could heal himself or something. He came back to life. And there was this big revelation to him, almost from the source, like the soul never dies, so why fear?
Yes.
So he has tried to imbibe even his teachings and lessons into the story. Is what I'm getting.
Interesting. Okay. But, now let's talk about Krishna himself. So again, there are so many interesting legends that his maternal uncle was a tyrant, and he knew through some prophecy that the 8th child of his sisters, his 8th nephew, would kill him. The name of that tyrant is Kamsa, and Kamsa came to know that the 8th child of his sister which would be Krishna, would be the one to kill him. So he started killing he did kill all the 6 children. And then Balram was one of the avatars, supposed avatars of Vishnu, was the 7th child. He somehow lived through a miracle. And then the 8th child was Krishna. So is all this story real? What is the truth about Krishna's birth? Where was he born? How was he born? Who were his parents? What were their names?
He's making me feel like the part that he was a shepherd, like how we say
Yadava.
Yadavs, the people who take care and rear cattle and sheep and so on. So he was from that family.
Okay.
And he was, he's saying he was more brilliant than the rest of them, the rest of his generation. Let me see what else he's giving me. I'm asking about, what about your parents?
Yeah. Did he know that he was an avatar, a special divine avatar of Source when he was incarnate?
He's making me feel like he didn't. I mean, he didn't know exactly why he took birth. And I don't know if we've mentioned this, because it was pretty much like any human life. He was just incredibly gifted, which didn't make sense to the rest of them. So they started treating him almost godlike, or because he has these special gifts.
What gifts did he really have?
He was a good orator. That's one thing I'm getting, which he was, according to the books.
Yeah.
He could read people's energy.
Oh.
Like he could almost see through them when they're lying.
Okay.
Which was something which that was visible about him even as a child.
Okay.
Nobody could fool me, is what I'm getting. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Also, he's making me feel like he didn't have any of those magical gifts, like turning people into something or that sort of thing. But even he was very intelligent, so he could understand conversations that adults have, had when he was a child. He could get the vibration and he could understand stuff. So he started predicting things, and then it went on to counseling people because his ideas or advices helped. So that took a turn, and he was fearless, is what I'm getting. So that's where the whole, there is this, there's this story he's actually making me feel about the snake and he dancing on top of the snake's head. That actually comes from the fact that he was fearless. He was like that with all the animals. He loved everything that was on earth. But it was not common. And he's explaining all the more because he belonged to the cattle rearing community where wild animals were feared upon.
Which part of the current day's India was he born?
He's making me feel like he was born in northern India. He's showing me a different shape to the map of India. So maybe when this happened, the north was a little. It would have been, with other parts of the various countries blending in.
Okay,
so
all right.
Currently, if we see, he's making me feel to the far north, which would always, like if you talk about the current India, it will be like almost on the border.
Kashmir.
Yes.
Okay,
That sort of area.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so now let's come to Radha. Was Radha real? Because we now think of her, Radha, as his soul. Some Hindus would, of course, think that she is an incarnation of Lakshmi, who is the consort of Vishnu. So was Radha there? And I'll tell you the entire story about Radha. Radha was much older than him, and Radha was already betrothed to a man called Ayan, and she went ahead and married him. Nevertheless, Krishna and Radha had a romantic relationship, and but he left her there and went off to Mathura to kill that tyrant uncle. This is the story. Is he aware of the story? Could you ask him that first? Are you Krishna? Do you know the story about you?
He's laughing and he's like, yes, I'm aware of these and many more.
Of course.
All the stories.
Mm.
When we were talking about Radha, he mentioned, yes, she was real.
Okay.
There was one thing he specifically pointed about her, almost like she was tomboy. She had manly traits, not physically.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
She was skilled with all the things that at that time men did, which she would do in secrecy because it was not allowed.
Okay, I know.
Appreciated.
Yeah. I do a lot of man's work too. I do myself.
Yes. And she being married to the other guy that you mentioned, he's not clarifying about that. He says, no, that was just a made up story, sort of thing.
Okay.
It came from the idea of women being independent.
Okay.
Like she was this independent soul, and in fact, he's making me feel like she was eldest in the family, so she would do stuff that the boys would do to help her father.
Yes.
Something of that sort.
Chores that would normally be done by the male children.
From hunting, and he's specifically showing like getting these logs of woods from the jungle and that sort of thing. And that's how they've met, is what I'm getting. Almost like they met in the jungle, because he's showing me like this is very beautiful, because he's showing me like that's where he used to take his sheep or
cattle
for grazing,
cows and
yes, and she used to go to the jungle to get these woods or something. So that's how these two people met.
So they
had this connection because they were both expressive and loving.
Did they get married eventually?
He's making me feel like no, they didn't have a marriage because it was never thought of. They never wanted to, or almost like they had he's using the term camaraderie, almost like how,
I know.
It
very
was
friendly, sharing everything. So there was no romantic love, Krishna, between you and Radha?
It was much more than that, he's saying.
Okay, a spiritual connection.
Yes, a spiritual connection, almost like how it was everything from brotherhood to friendship to a romantic. It was a blend of everything.
Everything, I know, a total love, complete love. Okay, so she is still there. Is she with him now, up there in heaven, or they're not together?
She's taken quite a couple of rebirths.
She has.
And right now also she's in a human life, is what I'm getting.
Which part of the world? Interesting.
Indonesia.
Wow. So
interesting.
You both didn't get married, but she went on to marry someone else. And then legend has it that you are an Ashtabharya, meaning you had 8 wives, and you also married, according to the Mahabharata, I guess, you also married the 16,000 women imprisoned by Narakasura when you killed him. Just to save their honor and dignity, you married all of them. Maybe not exactly 16,000, whoever Narakasura had imprisoned. So was Narakasura real, meaning an evil king?
Yeah. The funny thing is, he's making me feel like he did not get married to even a single one.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because he's almost making me feel like marriage was always, it never came into my mind, or it was never something required. Almost like it was because in those times, and which is true to a certain extent even now, that if you have to rescue a woman, you have to have you have to give a name to that relationship.
Yeah.
She's your sister, she's your mom, or who is she? Why would you do that? Or the whole, Erik says the rescue operation turned into a marriage story.
It's all cooked up.
Yes, it's all cooked up. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Obviously. The legends are so amazing, and it's all done out of devotion. People, maybe they do believe it, but we will leave them to their beliefs. They believe that he split his soul into 16,000 husbands, and every night he spent with every one of them. He never let them down as their husband. So many interesting legends, Anyway, so much for his glory. Yeah. So
Erik has so much to say right now, but I should maybe not let him, because this is his favorite topic. So let's not go there.
No, maybe you should get an idea or two from Erik. Let him chip in too. Let him have his voice.
He was just saying, he had a lot of fun. That's what he was getting into.
Okay.
You know him, how he talks, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, now this character Panchali, Draupadi or Panchali, who had 5 husbands in the Mahabharata. The 5 Pandavas were her husbands, right? Is any truth to it? Was that real, that Panchali had 5 husbands?
Yes, there is certain truth to it, but she was not exactly married to all of them. But she was almost like a shared wife, because they couldn't afford to bring another, because it was an expensive affair. The whole marriage and finding a beautiful, homely wife was a difficult task for the kings. So she was the only one who had to be there. But she was not exactly ritually married to all of them. But yes, they all treated her like their wives.
Yeah, but then I don't think people approved of it. Then I don't think people approve of it now. Why is it that? But then those, except for probably 3 of them, Arjun and Bhima had other wives, if I'm not, according to the story. So why is
Which
it
is
that
actually this whole concept? It's still prevalent in some parts of India, if you're aware.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I shouldn't get in trouble saying this, but there are parts of the country, like maybe UP or Bihar, where there is a genuine gender inequality, where these things happen. There will be this one girl married to
brothers.
4 brothers.
I've heard of it too.
Happens.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know in which parts, but then, it's not uncommon in the Indian culture. In the past, particularly in the past. Yeah, it's not uncommon.
And it's quite prevalent even currently.
Oh, really? Okay, that I've not heard of. Anyways, why is it that when a woman has more than a husband, it's looked down upon, whereas it's okay for men to have several wives or several concubines, so to speak. That was the case. I think that seems to be the case even now.
He's saying it's all about you giving the right to someone else to decide whether it's okay or not.
How does he mean?
It's almost like people have their opinions. So it depends on you whether that opinion matters to you or not.
Oh, okay. Right. I don't necessarily have to believe it.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay. So
because he's saying it's a human trait. Like
okay.
you have three people, you'll have three different types of opinions and standards and judgments.
I know. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion,
Yes.
right? Not necessary that someone is right or wrong, someone is more right than someone else. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, in the Bhagavad Gita, probably it was Rishi Vyasa who talked about the four varnas, the four castes, the Brahmana, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. People interpret it to mean that it was Krishna, whom they believe is an avatar of God himself, of course, which he is, who gave the caste system to the Hindus. And now it has created so many other castes, a huge elaborate caste system, because of which there's a whole lot of discrimination among human beings in India. So did Rishi Vyasa really came up with the caste system, or is it something made up by the humans later on? The four varnas, they are called. According to the gunas of people, the mental makeup of people, like the sattva, rajas, tamas gunas of people, this caste system was determined. And according to the work that they did as well.
It's almost like Rishi Vyasa himself belonged to a lower caste.
Okay.
Which almost like it was one of the reasons why he took an exile and he left his family and went to the jungle to meditate and to find his truth.
Okay.
Because his childhood is what is being mentioned by Krishna. So almost that sort of feeling. And even Krishna belonged to a lower caste.
Supposedly, Yadava community is not.
Yes, so almost like Rishi Vyasa could resonate with him. At the same time, he wanted to remove all that negativity that was there. So he started portraying him and Krishna, almost like, Krishna being him and him being Krishna in a better light.
Oh, okay.
So from there it began, because obviously Krishna was the intelligent one and the gifted one. So it became like that was the highest creed or caste.
Okay.
And then, so it was all made up, the whole concept was made up in Rishi Vyasa's mind is what I'm getting.
Did Rishi Vyasa live around the same time as Krishna did?
It is almost like when Rishi lived, because most of these things came into his dreams. So it was almost like the incarnation that Krishna took as Krishna was after Rishi Vyasa's passing.
Oh, okay.
Almost like he saw things from the future and his past and blended everything in. Something like that.
Yeah, sages are indeed capable of seeing into the future. So on that note, I've read about Nadi readings, 5,000 years ago, sages looking into the future and prophesying, foretelling the future lifetimes of people with certain certain, lines here. I don't know what it's called. So is that...
You're talking about palmistry? You're talking about palmistry?
Not just palmistry, nadi reading. They are
Okay.
inscribed on palm leaves.
Yes.
Yeah, the future lifetimes of a whole lot of individuals. I've had mine read, actually. They say that not everyone's, what's this? The imprint, the palm imprint can be found. Only some individuals' imprints are found. Probably some of them are made up, recently made up. So those some imprints, I don't know, these rishis would see in their mind's eye 5,000 years into the future and foretell how their futures were going to be, and they scribble them onto these palm leaves, and the palm leaves most of them are well preserved. Some of them have indeed been destroyed, I don't know, by fire, storms, water, but some of them are well preserved. And if you manage to get yours read, it would be very interesting. So these are possible on these palm leaf inscriptions, and what are these prophecies real?
No, it's definitely a real thing. It's almost like they're talking about the Akashic records. So these were men who wrote, who could actually channel information, tap into the Akashic records. But at the same time, it is true to a certain extent only, because obviously our free will and karma changes with time. But things like the parents or the family you are born into, and whether you are born into a poor family, or like the basis of your life on earth is true to quite a good extent.
So the basic details would remain the same, but lots of other things would change due to our free will. Okay, over time.
Yes.
All right. So in the meantime, to go back to Krishna. So Krishna was never a ruler of Dwaraka.
You want me to ask him that, whether he was a ruler?
Were
you want me to
ask him that? Yeah.
He's making me feel like I was never interested in politics.
Okay.
But for his wit and his wisdom, he was made a ruler or a representative of sorts.
A leader.
Yes.
Of his clan.
Because there was, of his clan, and there used to be a time where you could call him a ruler, but he's not making me feel like he was a king or something.
Okay.
Almost like a guru to some of them.
As a clan leader.
Yes.
So he was known to be a strategist, a master strategist, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did he really play the flute? Was that his favorite instrument to play? Did he play anything else?
He did play flute, and he's making me feel like he used water, like how music can create ripples in water, and he used to watch them,
Okay.
He's showing me that's why he often went to the riverside, and he would play and see how the water reacts. So he had this bigger question.
Water,
music, how
plants react to music. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So again, legend has it that Dwaraka was consumed by the sea, of course, according to the legend, due to the curse of the mother of the Kauravas. But is that true that after his passing, Dwaraka was consumed by the sea? Because right now, archaeologists have discovered, parts of remnants of a city, ruins of a city in that area near Gujarat, and the water.
Yes, there were floods, and some natural calamity was there. But yes, there was a real city.
Mm-hmm. How did Krishna die?
He's showing me like he's in this old age and he has left his family.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you are done with all the things that you have, I mean, and the responsibilities that you have in this life, and you're old, and he wanted to find, bigger truths. So he took an exile and he went on to meditate into the jungle or something of that sort, because he always felt this this strong urge to be close to nature. So after a point of his life, when he was quite old, he left his family and he went to the jungle. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. And he died out of old age and natural causes. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, because legend has it that the hunter thought he took his outfit for a deer. The outfit was this color of a deer. So he took him for a deer and shot him in the foot. Somewhere near, I visited that place, so they have erected a monument. So he was shot in the foot and then he died.
Yes, so he definitely died in the jungle, but maybe wild animals were involved, but he died out of old age. He was quite old, so he finished most of his lifetime.
So did he have any children, or was he never married? He was not married at all. That's what we got earlier, right?
Yeah, he was never married.
So Krishna, you didn't have any children at all?
I had many of the, like adopted children, like sort of how he used to teach them and help them live.
Okay.
So he had that guru, parent kind of a relationship with many of them. But not biological children is what I'm getting.
That makes sense. Okay. Then Krishna, in the Gita again, Rishi Vyasa's Bhagavad Gita again, the 4 yugas, the 4 epochs of time have been talked about. Kali Yuga is the one in which we are living currently. At the start of creation of mankind, it was Satya Yuga or Krita Yuga, and then Treta, Dwapara, during which time he was born, and then right now we are in Kali Yuga. And for how long? Kali Yuga, when evil will raise or rear its ugly head, and then the 10th avatar would incarnate, Kalki avatar would incarnate. So is it true that we can expect the Kalki avatar to come and put an end to the adharma, the injustice, and to rescue dharma, the righteous people?
Yeah, he's actually explaining the concept of yugas being, they weren't linear. I mean, even you must have heard as a child about Kali Yuga being the current yuga.
Yeah.
Now also it's been spoken of. So how long is the Kali Yuga? So it was always blended in. There was no yuga which was all good and no bad, and all bad and no good. So this whole cycle kept on happening, like people taking rebirth.
Yes.
So and that's one thing. And what was your question again about the yugas?
Well, the Kalki avatar incarnate at the end of this yuga, meaning
he's making me feel like it has happened already a couple of times, but it was never like a specific. It is almost like many energies coming into earth
Mm.
to heal, to teach, and leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it's not like, it's not just him or the
Mm.
Kalki,
Mm.
that the only one particular avatar who would come and make changes and go.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Again, in the Gita, he says that he was Ram before his incarnation as Krishna. Ram is a separate individual, separate entity, another fraction of source, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's not making me feel like he was ever Ram.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
Okay. So, did he incarnate on the earth plane before his incarnation as Krishna, and has he incarnated since his incarnation as Krishna? How many incarnations has he had as a human being?
He's making me feel like he was an old soul. That's why he was gifted and he had this
Okay.
huge sense of understanding about bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
But as Krishna, it was his first, or not exactly the first one,
Mm-hmm.
but the earliest human life. He had taken birth as other beings and animals and insects and trees and even mountains is what he's making me feel. But as humans, it was just a couple of
lifetimes,
couple of births. But the lives that he had taken birth as were very strong. So that gave him a lot of understanding within a short period of these births.
Lifetimes. And is he currently incarnate anywhere on Earth or any other planet for that matter?
He's making me feel like, he says, my task is done.
Oh.
So
now what does he do? So what does he do? Just whatever source asks him to, whatever assignment.
He's working as a guide, like how we have, like that's why he's an ascended master.
Spirit guide.
So
Okay.
He's always available for anybody who wants to channel him and receive information. And, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when we kind of call to him, he'll come to our help.
Yes, always. And he said, who doesn't? It's almost like it applies to all spiritual beings, he says. It's all about what you believe in.
Exactly. Yeah. Does he know that I acknowledge his blessings just as how I acknowledge Erik's blessings every evening, almost every evening, whenever I do my ritual of lighting the lamp and burning the camphor? Is he aware of that? When we think of them, does it reach them?
He's asking, do you feel that I'm around when you do that?
Yeah, I do.
So why are you
doubting it? Why are you doubting? Yes. Just confirmation. You know how the human mind works. Yeah, yes. Self-doubt is always there. Yeah, I know. Just before the session, I meditated on him and I saw him. Yeah.
Yes, that's why he came in with that picture, because I knew you had a painting with that particular scene, but that's what he showed me because it obviously makes sense to you.
Yeah, okay. So now, Krishna, could you clarify why you showed that image of you being a charioteer? Were you really a charioteer at any point in your lifetime as Krishna? Why that?
No, it was a gift for you, Gita. He says, because that's how you look at me.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
That's my favorite scene, because at that point in time, before now, I believed, not just before now, before a little while ago, I believed that Krishna was real, which he is. And I believe that he gave the Gita to this character, Arjuna. And I liked that particular verse, which I wanted to inscribe there, but I couldn't for some reason on that metal embossing work of mine. The verse that I liked is from the Gita. Duty is your concern. The fruit is not your concern. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. The results are not your concern. Do your duty. And I have always lived by that. I never expected anything back from people. So does it still hold true?
Erik is chiming in and saying, do your stuff and take a nap. You know?
Yeah, I like that. Very rhyming too. Do your stuff and take a nap. Yeah. Maybe do your crap and take a nap.
Yeah.
That's more rhyming.
Yes.
Very
See
rhyming.
how
Yeah.
creative. Yeah.
With Erik around, yeah, it just flows. All right. So this is what God wants us to do, really. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, what's that? Karomi yadyat sar, what are those lines? I forget now. Narayanayeti samarpayami. Whatever you do, don't wait for the results.
Yes.
Surrender your karma, your actions. Karma is to
correct.
God.
It's just the word, Erik. That's what Erik is explaining. The words are different in different cultures. The language is different.
Yeah.
When you're not talking about a god or you're not religious, you're talking about putting it out in the universe.
Yeah.
Same way, just doing your thing and then believing that yes, everything will be taken care of.
Yeah.
But yes, that honesty should be there. Take a nap. Yes.
Yeah. It'll come back. Yeah. It cannot go anywhere. Good or bad, whatever you do will come back. That's a karma theory. All right. Is there anything else that Krishna would like to share with us that we humans don't know about?
Krishna is just joining his hands and he's actually he's talking about his strategic self, like how people think that you have to plan things and make your plans in advance and you have to use your mind all the time, which is not true. He said, even though I was portrayed that way, that I was into planning and taking strategic decisions, but at the end of the day, I was all about love. So you cannot forget using your heart and what you feel inside. And that's something that even Erik always talks about, like, living in the now and enjoying every bit of every fruit of whatever you're doing in a day.
Yes.
So that's his message. And he's actually very thankful for being called in and this conversation with us.
All right. So thank you so much, Krishna. I love you. Thank you so much for sharing with us all this information about yourself and for clarifying all my doubts. And I'm sure people would also benefit from all these clarifications. Thank you for sharing, Krishna. Love you. Thank you, lovely.
He's just smiling. He's a very sweet being. Yes, you're welcome, Gita, and thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's always been a pleasure. Yeah, working with you, lovely. Thank you, and thank you, Erik. Thank you so much for being here. And
Erik is sending you kisses.
Thank you so much, Erik. I love you too. Yeah.